Finally, after so long, we start seeing the rest of the Alberian royal family being released as playable characters, thanks to the currently ongoing invasion event. Emile, Valix, and Farest are becoming playable, hinted by changes in their splash art. We'll start with the Gala unit, the ever narcissistic Gala Emile, who came to Euden's aid in the campaign, helping him and his combined army to assist in the retreat and exodus of refugees from Grams, which is currently decimated by the progenitor, who somehow also shares the same voice as the Morseity, and probably will crush us with Roadrullers in an eventual rematch. Back to Emile, he debuts as a 5-star Water 1 support unit in a brand new outfit that is actually a disguise given by Mercury when he was ousted from his own throne by an usurper. After reclaiming his throne, he used his talent in the arts to allow his nation to prosper, a feat that many of us are definitely impressed with, especially when taking his infamous reputation into account. He still has that annoying attitude though, which is actually the core of his character. For his playstyle, it follows his personality to a T. He himself doesn't have any damage dealing capabilities, but is able to rely on others for dealing damage. His supporting capabilities come from his position dependent fast dual amping capability and additional skill haste support from his chain co abilities, while his unique abilities allow him to be the first unit in game to have higher shared point capacity, and having greater damage focus on shared skills only. Let's look into his kit and find out what makes him the great and powerful Emperor Emile. Both of his skill names match his personality well too, a nice touch by the content developer team. His skill activation is similar to Gala Alex and Gala Roderick, with a skill reservoir containing 3 charges, known as Ego charges. For Emile, each charge costs 4,980 SP. Another interesting thing to point out is that his maximum team amp level is 2, rather than the 3 typically present on Gala units with amping capabilities. His first skill, Follow Me Minions, is his strength amping skill. This skill is probably used in the story when he is at the helm, charging at the enemy. It consumes 1 ego charge and provides a strength amp. If Emile is in front of at least one teammate, this skill grants 1 level of team strength amp. If this condition is not achieved, the skill will only provide the typical strength amp. For an amping skill with a decent cost, this is a great amping support skill, provided that the positioning is correct. This can become one of the fastest team amp applicators within the entire game. Overall, this skill is pretty interesting in its execution, but the resulting supportive capabilities speak for themselves. His second skill, Protect Mepians, is the same as his first skill, but provides defense amps instead. This skill is probably used when he is retreating from the enemy. There are 2 distinct differences though. The first is the damage diffusion ability, which reduces incoming damage by distributing the damage received to other teammates, a cunning move that was previously used by Holly and matches his cowardice and minion manipulation pretty well too. The second difference is his positioning. This time, the superior effect takes place when he is behind one or more teammates instead of being in the front. Overall, my opinion on this skill is similar to his first skill, but the damage diffusion increases Emile's survivability, despite at the expense of his teammates. Emile's co-abilities consist of the typical 15% skill damage co-ability, and has a skill haste chain co-ability that increase team skill haste by 6% when a team strength amp is present. The chain co-ability is an amazing chain co-ability, as Emile himself has no trouble proxying team strength amps, as long as his position is correct when using his first skill. As a Gala unit, he has a special resistance ability. Immeasurable Majesty is a dual resist ability that makes Emile resistant to both burn and stun, afflictions that are commonplace in flame stages. For his exclusive abilities, we'll start with Water Whim's Guidance. As Emile had a former pact with the Water Whim Mercury, it makes sense to have her as his default dragon, given that all members of the royal family have dragon blood, with the rest of the siblings having their own pact-bound dragons. But because he bamboozled Mercury in the past, his shapeshift isn't really working properly. Emile's shapeshifting is actually in the form of Dragon Drive, but instead of entering a different mode, he summons Mercury, who unleashes Hydra Cannon and ends the Dragon Drive while intimidating and knocking down Emile in the process. To summon Mercury, 40% of the Dragon Drive gauge is required, and interestingly, mine comes up as empty instead of having Emile's profile picture. In terms of damage, the Hydro Cannon attack deals one hit of 10,000% damage in a line, and I was able to see at least 6-digit damage values coming from this attack alone, capable to taking away a relatively large chunk of enemy HP. Besides the interesting and hilarious Dragon Drive situation, this ability also grants Emile additional 4 shared skill points, as well as having additional 40% skill haste on all of his skills, enabling him to equip more expensive shared skills, which plays more into his next ability, the great and powerful Emperor Emile. This ability grants a massive 150% skill damage increase to shared skills. In addition, damage-dealing shared skills will inflict frostbite, with an extended duration of 42 seconds, alongside the typical damage mods, and 110% base chance. If the shared skill already has frostbite capabilities, then the skill's own frostbite modifiers and duration will take priority over this ability. This ability makes the choice of shared skills to be equipped on him a big deal, as he will work well with 2 damage dealing shared skills, preferably with high modifiers alongside additional effects that can support Emperor Emile. So, what build should we go for when building up the greatness of Emperor Emile? Well, based on his skills alone, he would seem to fall more towards a support based build, though only skill haste will work as effect duration extension will not work on amp based skills. This creates a lot more room to fit in additional abilities, such as more defensive abilities that increase his survivability and better suit his cowardice, or what I would prefer, emphasizing on his shared skill damage, as Emile has increased shared skill damage and skill haste on his own, as well as an increased shared point capacity. This results in a much more offensive build for a support unit, only because he already has a lot of built-in self-supporting abilities, and the nature of his amping skills that do not allow the use of bath time extension, an ability commonly found in support builds. For his dragon of choice, since he is a support unit with great offensive potential, the twin rabbits are a great solution to cater both offense and support. My other recommended choices would be top tier offense based dragons that can take his increased shared skill emphasis up to another level. As for his team setup, since he is an amping support unit, he is perfect for any water team that is going up against Curse of Nihility stages. However, when using Emile as a support bot, it would be wise to place him in the 2nd or 3rd slot in the team to allow both of his skills to have increased chance of activating the superior effects. But honestly, I wouldn't really recommend using him as a mere support bot. For his windprint setup, these are what I currently use on him. Having only one skill haste print alongside numerous other prints that solely focus on his shared skill damage to fully bring out Emile's potential. So Emperor Emile, who ruled the Dyrnell Empire incredibly early in the campaign, turns out to be an incredible backline support unit, while also capable of dealing good damage at the front lines by borrowing skills from others. Emile is capable in performing incredibly well in both support and offense aspects, though the latter is highly dependent on your choice of shared skills on him. Speaking of shared skills, it is highly recommended to use ranged damage dealing skills that do not inflict frostbite, particularly when used as a support bot, as the AI will use shared skills when the character is in range for their normal attacks. When controlled manually, the choice is dependent on the total damage mods and the enemy's affliction resistance. The above elaboration on his shared skills also leads into his weaknesses, the first being his choice of shared skills being a highly manipulating variable. The second being that is significantly lower performance when used as a bot, with his shared skills choice being limited, and his positioning dependent skills affecting the proc rate of the superior effects of his skills. But overall, Emperor Emile is a great addition into the current roster of support units, and sits in the archetype of an offense support hybrid. It's a good thing that his kit is incredibly usable and powerful, as Emile is one of the core characters in the campaign, one that has been in the story for an incredibly long time, which causes more players to pull for him. This also applies for characters such as Zephyr, Gatov, Valix and Farest. Now go out there and help keep Emile's huge ego in check. But when he causes trouble, just call in Mercury and watch him shit himself as he gets an unforgettable lesson from Mercury. That's all from me. Moga out.